Well, good evening, everybody, to this regularly posted meeting of the Public Transportation Advisory Committee. And I was thinking we'd throw things kind of around a little bit, and we'd start with the Pledge of Allegiance. What do you think? Yes? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And so we affirm. I have to admit that I have not had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. I hope somebody else did and found some grievous mistakes that we need to correct. Otherwise, I would take a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And thank you for preparing the minutes. And then to agenda item number 3, regular business. I don't have anything under public transportation. Does anybody else have anything? No? Okay, good, because we have lots to do under agenda item 3A2 regarding road topology and complete streets. We all received some draft standards that were prepared by Bart and Lindsay. I did attempt to review them, but because they are so extensive, I have not really, I don't feel comfortable saying that I have reviewed them. So my suggestion would be that we spend some time today to begin that process. Would either of you, Lindsay or Bart, try to lead us through that?
Sure.
I appreciate that.
What you have in front of you is kind of a year-long culmination of trying to develop some sort of complete streets standards, or at least new road standards for development. So this is when development goes through planning board application process. And so right now they're kind of bare bones right now. There's no real nuance what you find in the regulations, just kind of run-of-the-mill road standards that you typically find in a lot of municipalities, subdivision regulations, site plan regulations. And what this tries to do is make it more nuanced based on development type. So, you know, what types of roads would fit in different land uses and how to accommodate them. So again, we did a map exercise in town, you know, to identify these types of ways and roads. And now we're, you know, now we're kind of bookending that with these development regulations, road standards, excuse me. So the approach is to make this a new appendix. So if you're familiar with the planning board or the town's regulations, you got site plan, which is appendix, subdivision, which is appendix A, appendix B, site plan. C is stormwater infrastructure. Now D is we call it transportation network design standards. So this is kind of one of the, I wouldn't say last piece, but this is the essential piece in development. And now we are dedicating a whole section of that via appendix to those standards. So anyways, the information was primarily taken from it's called Main Place Code. Shared that with you all, and what I attempted to do was to take those standards, because I'm not a transportation engineer, and kind of fit them to Newmarket and based on our conversations that we've had over the past year. So what I did was, you know, we can go through each standard, but again, you have a purpose and goals. When does this apply? You know, more nuanced definitions that aren't are typical, that are just specific to this section. Then you get the typologies, and then the standards for each type of road or way. And then a few additional standards as well to support those standards. And then again, it also we interweave you know, movements, sidewalks, you know, crosswalks, interplay between crosswalks, on-street parking, and then also bicycle paths and shared use paths. And those have, and what I really like about this, it has diagrams for folks to reference and kind of conceptualize what we're looking for. So I think the main purpose of this is to communicate, this is what we want in town, this is what we'd like to see. And so there's, before I go any further, there was one section I didn't incorporate because I didn't really know how it would work, but it's like a table of when these roads are applicable and where you can do them. And I decided not to put that in and just let the development guide the network. So the land use guide what type of network it's supposed to be, and then have the planning board decide that. Instead of saying not permitted here, not permitted here, permitted here. You know, kind of like a typical zoning diagram. So, so anyways, I left that out. So there's just a little more flexibility. And then, yeah, that's the gist of it. It is a lot, I do admit. I apologize again, I'm a little late. You know, I am happy to go section by section with you tonight, or alternatively, we could digest this for another month and look at it. And then maybe it could be more, I wouldn't say more constructive, but maybe just a little more time to take it in and then comment on it. So I'll leave it up to you all.
I did spend a little bit of time with it, and I thought it was fantastic, quite frankly. It's I think, encompasses a lot. I do think that the one thing that I could point to is some of the pavement widths might lead to higher speeds. What some of the allowable pavement widths might promote higher speeds than what we want. And when we run into this with 12-foot lanes or 11-foot lanes, people do 50, and then we post it at 25, and just creates an enforcement problem, especially when the roads are fairly straight or have straight stretches. So that's my only comment, is that we talk about traffic calming a lot, and what's really nice about this is we're not sitting in we don't have the department head sitting in a meeting with a developer and we're dreaming up road dimensions. We've got something to point to. But I think that we should really look at the pavement widths on some of them and say, do we really want to allow 12-foot lanes on a rural road or on a, I forget what the other one was, but it was not Curb Street or something, maybe it was
Commercial, maybe? Commercial was one of the ones we allowed the 12.
Yeah, that's just, you know, and of course I'm always thinking that we need to build in a lot of geometry if we want to control road speeds, whether it's vertical curves, speed tables, things of that sort. But that's something that might be more that comes up during the tactical review or technical review committee. Tactical. It could go tactical.
Yeah, but I don't know if it wouldn't. It would seem like it would make sense to have some language regarding controlling speed, you know, in the road type, right?
Just to continually remind people, because we're thinking of it, everyone at this table and everyone who's sitting at the planning board in the next year or two will be thinking that way, but
developers reading it and a planning board 10 years down the road may not be thinking that way at all. This should be not in their mindset. But I think this is, I think, fantastic document. I really think it's in that, imagine it was primarily you, or it was a lot of cut and paste.
Well, the putting of everything in this format was a lot of Bart's work.
It's-
We worked together on a lot of the content and discussed, but
It
credit
looks-
to Bart for putting the time into making it look
It does
that way.
look fantastic. And then I did look at, some of the modifications to site plan review. And, there are some things about road names, and I do have opinions about those, and if we're going to be changing something in a site plan review, it's a good time to clean those up. And, one of the things was that the proposed road names shall not duplicate any existing road names. But I'm always drawn to Moody Point and Moody Point. Which one am I going to? Moody Point Road, or Drive, actually, or Moody Point, the subdivision. So it shouldn't mimic any names, just plain simple, just don't mimic them. And we have to be careful of the homonyms. 9 Granite and 9 Grant are both elderly care facilities, which get a lot of ambulance runs, and there's been confusion over that before. So we don't even think of Grant and Granite as being that similar, but when somebody's speaking and panicked, it is a problem.
Yeah, I can see
So it would almost be nice to build that right into, since there's some modification of site plan review that has to be done anyway, to build it in and say something of that sort. The only other little piece I have a problem with is just some of the cutesy names, whether it's Brialia Circle or Katie Ann Way or Arthur T. Noble Drive, and there's a road sign this long that falls off all the time. It's maybe it's nothing that we want to get into here, but limiting the length of names and just really being careful. And it's to say the town of Newmarket, and I'm sure the police and fire would weigh in on it, but those guys know exactly how, especially the fire department, know exactly how difficult it is to have similar sounding names.
My experience, I'm not sure if town council even named them, but should be E911, fire department.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones, or police department, really, agreeing what the names is, or having an agreed list to
Right.
go off of.
Newmarket
There's gotta be something out there.
utilizes a local E911
Yeah.
coordinator. You can either have E911 do your town,
Yeah.
or you can have a local coordinator, which last I knew was Mark Pelzar at the police
Yeah.
department. And that's great, because he knows exactly what the confusion points are, and how it is when people say they're at Moody Point, and what they really meant is Moody Point Drive. Things of that sort. Or Shanda, you're on Shanda, well, which Shanda are you at? It's important we know, because they're in opposite ends of town.
I would suggest we go document by document, just to keep the conversation a little bit focused. What do you think of the question, though, as far as, do we want to have kind of an initial conversation about or response to the transportation network design standard, and then take some time over the next month to review in more detail and come back with anything that we noted, that any suggestions or concerns, or do we want to jump into that right away? What do you think,
So
Austin?
we get the right away. I think we should go over it together.
Yeah.
I don't know if this meeting's gonna be very long now, but
You think
it'd be helpful,
we should
yeah.
take some time first to digest it and
no, we should go over it today.
today? Okay. What do you think?
I would think, a rough go over today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And revisit it.
That'd be helpful for me.
Yeah,
at least.
I think that makes sense too. And then we'll leave the remaining documents for maybe for next month, and review those then, especially the road naming. I can see.
now. So the purpose of the site
Yeah.
plan and
Okay.
subdivision It's really simple. It's to link this view
Yes.
together. So it has to be required. So there's nothing substantially changed in the site plan subdivision regulations. It's just to ensure that this document
Is
has
referenced.
to be used and referenced
Yeah.
when going through.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's kind of, well, it is also deterring the use of cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
So it's making that a little more clear that we want to move away from that type of development and move towards this type and following these
Yeah.
road network connectivity things.
exactly. So the onus is on the applicant to justify via a waiver the proposal of a cul-de-sac.
I had a kind of a response to that right away. A cul-de-sac to vehicular traffic may be desirable, but it needn't be a cul-de-sac to all traffic. So pedestrians and bicyclists and non-vehicular traffic might connect to the remainder of the network, but it may be desirable to have no throughway for cars. So I would suggest that we take a little bit of a look at that and
That's the
describe
thing.
that.
It's more of a justification for the cul-de-sac. So it's not prohibited. It's not that you cannot do it. It's more justify why you're going to put this in, and then the way you do that is through a waiver. So we say we don't want a cul-de-sac, but if it's appropriate, then the planning board will weigh that decision, weigh the merits and the justification for it, and make a decision.
Okay.
Can we put,
Yeah, I mean, that was my approach to it.
Yeah.
When you say cul-de-sac, you're not just talking, you're talking about any type of dead end, is that right, or is that?
Typically just a cul-de-sac like the loop.
What's that?
The loop.
The loop,
Circle,
so
yeah.
it could
The
be a
lollipop.
dead end, but not a cul-de-sac?
Oh, dead ends too in there.
Yeah.
We try to,
The same.
Okay, yeah.
we try to, avoid dead ends.
I do like that approach from, service provision and, whatever, the trees across the road, you can still get home a different way, especially the 1,000-foot, requirement. That's pretty important. We have a situation in town here where you go about a mile in and it's one way in, one way out.
But also too, if we really not prioritize the cul-de-sac, you get different land use patterns.
Right.
So you get more of a network, you get a little more a grid
Yeah.
potentially. It's
Yeah.
just we don't want that be the first option. We want it to be the last option.
Right.
If it's justified, then great. All right,
Yeah.
we'll work with you. But is there any other way you can have a better network within your development, and that you can avoid using the cul-de-sac? And maybe that's it turns into just more compact. I don't know. It's, again, based on my understanding, through our time together, is we wanted better networks, and I don't think the cul-de-sac's achieving that.
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
putting everybody onto one road.
Yeah.
is there any language that we could put in that would address, I think where you were going, Saka, is if you have a cul-de-sac, I think one thing that we saw when we looked at the map initially and we were looking at how trails connect and how roads connect, was that at the end of every cul-de-sac, oh, there's a trail just
Mhm.
that far away.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any language we can put in that would kind of make the developer complete a footpath to the nearest trail?
Yeah, compel, I'll have to look into that potentially. We just have to be careful on that. It may have to be private, depending if it's a foot trail, not necessarily public. A road's different than a path.
We've done them before, like in the golf course, Rockingham Green.
Yeah.
There's an easement for a trail, but of course no signs are put up, and so there's this easement where people can walk.
Right, you can go
through.
you stub it, and then you wait for future development to
Yeah.
to continue it.
Yeah, because basically people will follow the path of least resistance. Kids will cut through. The kids going to school, they cut through all sorts of backyards to get to
Absolutely.
school. I mean, they just will. If you don't create a path for them,
Right.
they'll make one.
Basically, my experience, typically, people proposing developments, are open to that.
Yeah.
So, it might be worthwhile for us to require it. But
It could also be a bonus,
exactly, so incentivize it.
yes.
Correct. That's the way you do it. That's a good point.
But just having it in the document saying that pedestrian links are encouraged or something, just to
Or desirable,
reminding
yeah.
people that that's, we're shooting for those.
Yeah.
Or that a review will be done to see if there's any potential
Mhm.
links.
Yeah. or
The
that it-
review,
a
a
review
review
should be
of
part
it
of the
is
part of the
it.
yeah. I think
Can
that's
that be added?
that's a
Yeah.
good approach too.
Can you say
Um,
that one more time so I can
I have
understand?
one more question for Lindsay while you're taking your note. When you look at these design standards, and you think about the town redoing a road or a street or whatever, would you feel like this? You would know which street or which design standard to apply, depending on, let's say your Spring Street gets repaved. It's up for repaving. How would you approach which one out of these types here to choose? If you had to do it as a town engineer and you said, okay, so this is your job. You have to pick one of these because it has to be something. How would you go about that? What would guide you?
Because the road art exists,
Mhm.
I would pick whichever one most closely matches the existing footprint of the road and modify as allowable to incorporate some of the other elements. Like for Spring Street, there's potential to narrow up travel lane widths and allow for on-street parking, or allow for potential expansion of the sidewalk, or add sidewalk on both sides and not on-street parking. So things like that would fit within the existing footprint, that would make it a little bit closer to fitting into one of these categories.
Mhm.
But because it's existing, it's also more of a challenge. You're not taking an open area
Right.
and just working things in. So it's a little bit more nuanced, but the goal would be to get it more closely to, or try to mirror whichever one it most closely matches in its existing state.
And how do you think a developer would go about choosing a topology here? If you look at, let's say, for example, rural road, let's say. When I hear rural road, I'm thinking fairly long streetscape that connects, maybe a couple of miles long or something like that. It's not something that typically is developed in one development, and probably or very unlikely to happen in Newmarket at this point. Or a commercial street. I guess you could kind of see that happening. But are these all applicable? Are these all something that a developer would go? Yeah, I would like a natural lane in my development, for example. And why would you choose that over a paved lane or a curbed lane? And how, I guess you could have a justification as a developer, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I think
How do you
most
come to that?
developers,
It's kind of a preference
They
thing.
want as little cost as possible.
Right.
So they want as narrow as possible, and they'll be putting in for the smallest road they can, and then it'll go to TRC, and then TRC will say, well, can't really get by with 16 feet. You're going to need 18 here, and that's where,
Yeah.
it's usually the fire department comes in. But honestly, I think sometimes some of the roads have gotten wide because following that logic, that wider is better, and it's not always better. It's creates problems. But
Right.
I know one of the developers, and he's always shooting for the narrowest road he could possibly have. You know, it's just cost to him.
Well, and
So-
I think for some of these developments, like a multi-building, possibly mixed-use type of development would look more at the curbed lane or yield streets for segments that go between some of the buildings. That's not necessarily like the main road entry or something like that.
Yeah.
So this could kind of help to guide what those side alleys or paths are within the development. And then the neighborhood streets, commercial streets, and rural roads are most likely gonna be what you get with a standard residential subdivision, like a lot of the spur cul-de-sac subdivisions that we have. It would likely be a neighborhood street, and this just kind of provides a little bit more guidance to think outside the box, not just a straight do the cul-de-sac at the end and come around. Maybe there's a loop, maybe there's a potential to leave the end open and you could connect it through with maybe the curbed lane or something to future development or something else like that. That it just kind of gives a little bit of variety to the thinking when developers are coming in.
Okay.
Depending on what type of buildings and uses they're looking to put in, these are some options that they can kind of consider incorporating.
Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're maybe trying to get at is when roads intersect.
Yeah.
So what does that look like? You know, let's say unpaved road to a rural road. What should that look like? What's that transition? That's maybe something to think about. You know, is there like a initial transition into the lot from a rural paved to unpaved as you get into the lot? But as you approach the network, that rural road, that, you know, higher classification or however you, or more highly used traffic, then there's, you maybe, how should I say this, adapt to that, or integrate. I don't know, just,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any merit or worth putting some language in there. Or maybe that's just figured out through the design process through TRC.
I think sometimes
Yeah.
that's easy because you can really create such a fat document. It's so
Yeah.
hard to find the meat that you need.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
and just that, those are nuanced, so nuanced.
So
That's
maybe it's just a
exactly what
TRC
TRC is
thing.
all about.
Okay.
And, you know, especially now with an engineer sitting on board, I think it's
Yeah.
helpful with some true written guidance.
Yep.
I think we've come a long way.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So just because I'm fairly new to town, in this town, I'm a little confused by what everybody's saying here. If a developer comes in and wants to put in a neighborhood, there's no, at this point, they come to you with what they want to do and then you decide yes or no, and you'll be using this to decide that? So there's no existing,
There is.
there is.
So we reference a manual, a transportation engineer manual has a guideline and then some standards as well. You can find that in the subdivision regs, what the roads should look like and what to think about when conceptualizing the design.
That's
what we
currently call for 12-foot lanes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Which is where we get the high-speed traffic.
right, okay.
All right. Just to facilitate things, I think let's just start at the beginning with purpose and goals and move through. There's the desire of the committee, and then we'll at some point reach D and have this conversation further.
Great.
Um,
Want me guide?
Absolutely.
Great. So yeah, purpose and goals, just for the folks out there, just read it verbatim. The objective of this appendix is to assure the enhancement of the town's transportation network by ensuring the network is walkable, human-scaled, and supports safe travel. To achieve this objective, the town seeks to 1. Accommodate multiple modes of transportation. 2. Minimize the use of one-way roads and infrequent intersections that limit connectivity discourage walk-in, exacerbate traffic congestion, and increase vehicle pollutants by avoiding the creation of unnecessary distance between destinations. And 3, prioritize symbiotic road designs that encourage safety and convenience for all users while generating better public health, social, environmental, and economic development outcomes.
Perfect. I have just one suggestion. I would say the objective of this appendix is to enhance the town's transportation network, and that way we don't have that assure and insure kind of thing going on, and it just, I think it achieves the same, has the same meaning.
Yes.
And I love the use of the word symbiotic road. That's just perfect.
Great. Any other questions on purpose and goals? Excellent. So moving on to applicability. B. The following development activities shall require the adherence to these standards. 1. Any project proposing a new road or way, regardless if the ownership is public or private. Questions?
Well, my only question there is that so many of these little 3 and 4 lot common driveways are now being called private roads. Are we putting them into a classification there, or?
Yeah, so we got some in here. We'll get there.
Yeah, okay.
So, for those smaller roads, we have some standards in there for that. I could see it being a curved lane, a yield street, maybe, or not yield street, but a curved lane. So again, we'll go into it.
Yeah, because that's been a problem in some towns where they've been requiring things like an 18-foot wide driveway.
Yeah,
And it just
it may not make
really
sense.
upsets residents when they're being asked to pave an 18-foot wide
Right,
driveway.
and I guess the beauty of site plan and subdivision regulations, they always ask for a waiver. So there's waivers and substitutions. So it's not like you need a variance and that's a high threshold
Right.
to prove burden, hardship. So it's
Yeah.
if it makes sense, I think now we have all these checks right now with TRC, and then ultimately the planning board. We'll come to something that's
Yeah.
common sense, hopefully. So. But that's what we try to strive for. But we do, I think, have some typologies in there that would be appropriate for that scenario.
Should the applicability extend to, we just had this discussion about Spring Street, to a rehabilitation of an existing road?
No.
No, it doesn't really, because the town's not subject to its own site plan and zoning.
Okay.
It doesn't have to. And you've got those existing conditions, and I
It
think
can make a project extremely expensive on certain.
it'd be impossible in some
As a
cases.
town, we will adhere to them to
Best
the
we can.
maximum extent that we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And still be reasonable with the costs on reconstruction. But as far as like this is planning board review, and the town doesn't have to go through planning board review for resurfacing or reconstructing streets. So it's kind of exempt from this.
Okay.
I think
Meet it to the maximum extent we can.
I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Lindsay, but exactly. We strive to meet these, but if it doesn't make sense, there needs to be some flexibility. So I'm thinking if it is a reconstruction project, say we're doing water and sewer reconstruction, and there's opportunities for sidewalks. We look at the street type, say, okay, is there opportunities to do sidewalks? Do we have to make some modifications to accommodate for our old patterns, if you will, then network patterns? Then we would, do the best we can. I think that's our understanding. That's where we had these standards, and then we have our policy that DBW is going to draft for town initiative projects.
And there is a review process that kind of takes place when there is a resurfacing project.
Right.
So, let's say it's the town council is reviewing it. These kind of standards can be used as guidance by the town council in order to decide whether or not the project should include elements that it doesn't currently. Shall we move on to
Answer your question.
Yes.
Great. C, definitions. Definitions shall be those in the Newmarket zoning ordinance adopted February 14th, 96, and the ordinance section 1.11, now section 23-11 of the code, and the additional definitions as follows. Do you want to go through all the definitions?
I think we should.
Okay, so one is block, the aggregate land area, including alleys, crossweaves, and footpaths circumscribed by the roads or ways. So, just to pause here for a second, I took some of these. Obviously I used the template of the main base code and love where all this comes from. So there's some words in here that aren't intuitive. So that's why you see these right now. And then me and Lindsay made some modifications too, as you'll see come forward. Next one is drainage, closed. Stormwater infrastructure or storm drain systems consistent of underground pipes, culverts, and inlet structures to collect and convey stormwater away from surfaces. 3, drainage, open. Stormwater infrastructure or storm drain systems consist of natural or man-made swales, ditches, and channels to collect and convey stormwater away from surfaces. Encroachment, any structural element that breaks the plane of a vertical or horizontal regulatory limit extended into a setback above a height limit, or the breaking of such limit by a structural element. Furnishing zone, an area of space allowing for placement of furniture without impeding the 4 foot of clear width required for pedestrian movement. 6, road, a public or private street or lane for use by vehicular, pedestrians, or both to provide access to a lot and abutting properties, and also may be used to provide space for bicycle infrastructure, stormwater management facilities, vegetation, for example, street trees, and utilities. Number 7, verge, a strip of grass, plants, or street trees located between a road and a sidewalk. And 8, way. Sorry. An 8-way, a private public path or trail specifically designed for pedestrian bicycle usage.
Yeah, I had a question here on furnishing zone. I guess I'm not understanding. Is that in the road?
It's in the basically on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
In between the sidewalk and the road.
So you,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
A little grass strip,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
they put cobbles in.
We have the verge, yeah, so it could be either or. It could be like business, sidewalk, furnishing zone, or it could be business, furnishing zone, sidewalk, verge,
Right.
street.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then encroachment, that's something coming into the street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of like a sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Just noting here, under furnishing zone, we're speaking of a 4 feet of clear width required for pedestrian movement.
Yep.
And further down, a footpath is described as a width must provide a 3 foot minimum clearance with a continuous passage. If a footpath requires 3 feet, but I think we should be consistent
Yeah,
there.
we change that to 4.
4.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine. That makes sense.
Because 3 feet is really narrow.
Yeah, I think the footpath,
What's the typical width of a sidewalk in Newmarket?
5 feet.
5 feet.
5.5 if you include the curb surface,
Yeah.
but it has to be a 5 foot clear width.
Yeah, because quite honestly, I think a 5 foot. Is that the case for the ones that we just built? Is that a 5 foot sidewalk, the newest
For
ones?
Great Road?
Yeah.
At a minimum. It might be slightly wider, closer to 6.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but the a lot of the sidewalks are so narrow that two people can't really comfortably walk next to each other, which I think is a little bit of a problem. Not in passing. I think that's not the issue, but it basically means when you're walking with someone else, you have to walk kind of in a staggered way. So it would be interesting to know what is a comfortable width there for a sidewalk, just as a little asterisk note here,
Probably two people.
so that two
Side.
people can walk
Yeah.
next to each other and have a conversation as they're walking, for
It's
example.
probably 4 feet maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 5 foot would accommodate that, and
So
I
8
think another
feet.
functional aspect is
Yeah.
snow removal, and a single pass with the sidewalk plow.
That's primarily what drives that 5 foot.
Yeah.
And
ADA
keeping,
too.
and ADA, well,
Yeah.
the ADA
ADA is
is
4
less
feet.
than 5,
Is
yeah.
it 4?
So
Yeah.
the plow
Yeah.
is
And you're allowed to
typically
drop
5.
down a little bit for whatever they call it, encumbrances or something.
Mhm.
Like if you have
Encroachments.
encroachments.
Yeah, when you have like a
Telephone
utility pole
Yeah.
right in the.
Yeah, those are terrible.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Continuing on.
Now we get to the meat of it, road and way typologies. Following road and way designs shall be adhered to unless relief is granted pursuant to section 5.01 of Appendix A, subdivisions, and Appendix B, site plans of the municipal town of the town of Newmarket, municipal code of the town of Newmarket, New Hampshire. So, first one is footpath, and the description is a unpaved way that provides pedestrian access through blocks. So there's dimension and design, so the right-of-way width is 6 feet minimum and 15 max. Travel width is 3 feet minimal. Movement type, pedestrian. Number of travel lanes, none. Travel width, not applicable. Parking lanes, none. Parking lane width, not applicable. Parking stall type, no parking. Curb and drainage, none. For curb type, drainage type, open or closed. And with encroachments, most of it's not applicable, besides walkway type, which is 6 feet to 15 feet max. And then curb and drainage, curb type none, oh, that's the next one, so, yeah. Do you want me to just go one by one, stop, and then go to the next? A good way to approach this right now?
The is the next one the natural lane?
Yes, it is.
So the description that is on at the bottom of this page.
Yeah, it's a word formatting thing, which will be rectified.
Okay, that refers to the natural lane. Okay.
Correct, the next one. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any comments on the footpath?
Yeah, like the encroachments, is this the only one that doesn't have any? Like there can't be planters and stuff like that?
Oh, it's not applicable, so it could be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep, so it's like, we don't care.
Okay, yeah.
So the footnotes or little notes, there's an A and a B.
Yeah, so,
What
you're
do they
good.
refer to?
So what I'm gonna do in the subsequent email is give you the images, so you can blow it up. So you're gonna see they're right here.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
really hard to see right now.
All
And
right.
then when if this were to be adopted and online, you'll be able to zoom in and see it. So you
Okay.
click on the image, blows up, and then you have the letters, that corresponding letters.
Okay.
So basically what it's doing is there's a diagram right here, and then underneath it has letters with those letters referencing.
Okay.
Yeah, so the right of width would be, if you can see the kind of pink salmon road
Yes.
right there, that's A
Okay.
for right of way width. Yeah.
Well, my old eyes couldn't see
No,
that.
I know, so it's hard to
You
see in this
that? Oh,
document.
no.
I could hardly even see it too.
Not
It's-
at all. I can see that there's something there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
yeah.
it's just unfortunate
No,
formatting.
it's okay. I think it's now that you've explained that it makes
Yeah.
it makes sense.
But that's maybe more something for, next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, to hone in on. Okay, so next is natural lane. And the description is an unpaved road providing access through blocks and to the front, sides, or backs of residential buildings. The dimension and design standards, right-of-way width would be 12 to 14 feet. Travel width, 8 feet to 12 feet. Movement type, yielding. Number of travel lanes, 1 lane, unmarked. Travel lane width, 12 feet or 10 feet, max with a 2 feet shoulder. And then parking lane and parking width not applicable. And then we got curb and drainage, none for curb type, drainage type, open or closed. Verge width, not applicable for encroachments. Walkway type, none. Walkway width, not applicable. Planter type, none. And planter width, not applicable. And then furnishing zone, none. And then parking stall type, opportunistic. Does everyone understand that?
So
So-
you can park in it.
Yeah. Everyone for themselves.
Basically.
Yeah. Okay. Get your cones out.
Yes, your lawn
No,
chair.
I mean, that explains Dame Road.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Dame Road is all about.
Yeah.
Well, except for 2 lanes. But people just park on the side of it, you
Yep.
go around.
Mhm.
Any question on natural lane?
No.
I guess well, I'm looking ahead to Rural Road. I don't understand really what they seem to almost be the same thing.
Natural lane is less intensive. So think of a rural road as like Ash Swamp Road,
Yeah.
something like that. That'd be a rural road where the travel speed is going to be higher. This is actually going into like a neighborhood. So if you picture a development, you're building a road into it instead of a cross-cutting road that's more to connect to different networks,
Okay.
segments.
Okay.
So I think that the difference is if you look at the description,
And
the natural lane is an unpaved road providing access through blocks and to the front
Yeah,
sides or backs of buildings, whereas the rural road is a paved road accommodating significant through traffic
Yeah.
located predominantly in rural areas. So it's a different type of
it's a connector.
traffic that you would be accommodating. One is basically just a slow-moving, essentially a footpath that's a little bit wider, and the other one's a paved road with higher speeds. That
Think of this way.
move farther.
One's to connect to buildings, the other one's to connect to different network segments, roads.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's a
Yeah.
good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Paved lane. Paved way providing access through blocks and to the front, sides, or backs of residential buildings. Right-of-way width 12 to 24 feet max. 14, to 24 feet. Pavement width 24 feet max. Movement type yielding or two-way. Number of travel lanes, 2 lanes unmarked. Travel lane width 9 feet to 18 feet max, unmarked. Parking lanes, 1 side or none. Parking lane width unmarked. Parking stall type parallel, opportunistic. And curb type none. Drainage type open or close. Encroachments, verge width none. Walking type shared. Walkway width, planter type, planter width, and furnishing zone not applicable.
So on this, and some of the smaller roads, the pavement width and lane width are actually one and the same, because we're not putting fog lines down
Mhm.
Bay Road or whatever. We're not so by creating a 24-foot wide paved area, we're really creating 12-foot lanes again,
Right.
because we're not doing a fog line.
Right.
So again, I worry about
So maybe that's
People's
one
needs are
to
down.
one to mark to think about what the appropriate width should be.
I think we should review. Are all these lists copied from one place here?
Yeah.
Because I don't even really know whether these are big or small on paper. Is there a second look we can take? About whether are these narrow or are these wide? For next meeting maybe.
Oh, yeah. I think this is a kind of a first read-through, and I think we will definitely go back through it and maybe, I mean, because I think sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
Because I think the concern that if the purpose of this lane is to provide access to buildings, why would such a lane need to be 24 feet wide? You know, and so if that's not something that that's kind of desirable, then why would we want to suggest it even as a maximum?
I think something else is that there's no mention of speeds in here. Like, you know, is that just implementation? Is there going to be nothing, you know, having to do with speed?
Yeah. My opinion is the speeds are primarily dictated by RSA and road geometry. So when the engineers get into designing the roadways, whether it's a reconstruction or a new roadway, the speeds, there are design speeds and target speeds that are kind of already laid out in design guidance as to what types of like hills and sags and curves and all of that stuff has to be done for to certain standards for safety. So we don't necessarily want to say, well, a neighborhood street or a rural road has to be 35.
Yeah.
Because there are some parts of the road that geometry will dictate it's got to be posted at 20, and there are plenty of rural streets that it varies as you're going along, because it's more a function of actual safe speeds that you can drive on that roadway. I don't think we want to put speeds in here because that's going to come in design of whatever roadways are getting proposed, and also be dictated by what's happening around it. I mean, depending on the number of driveways or access points you have along, dictates the speed, or what types of buildings are coming in and out of intersections nearby and all that kind of stuff. So,
or maybe put it in another way too. If you desire for this road to be able to be posted at 35, you would have to meet certain design standards. You would have to pick a certain type.
yeah.
You couldn't post a natural lane
Right.
at 35 because it's
Right.
not that kind of. And so, but going back to the width here, I think my opinion is if a paved lane is essentially a natural lane from a function perspective, the function is the same. It just happens to be paved, then the other standards should be the same. So, you know, you decide to pave it and all of a sudden you could build it at 24 feet wide, even though the function is exactly the same. That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I think the paved lane probably promotes, because it is wider.
Right.
Right, and that, I would echo that concern, because, you know, I would point to Bay Road and the straight stretches, and the police get complaints all the time about on the street, and Ashland Road, which, you know, it's just a challenge. And the roadway geometry
Well,
has more to do with average vehicle speed than the posted limit.
Well, I mean, I think Bay Road, I mean, it's a good example that a paved lane or that typology wouldn't apply there because it's a lane, it's a way, it's not a road.
Right.
And since if you look at the description of a natural lane, an unpaved road providing access through blocks and to the front sides or backs of residential buildings.
Well,
A paved lane is a paved way providing access through blocks and to the front sides or backs of residential buildings. So in other words, it's the same description, it's the same function.
The difference is too, it's allowing, paved lanes allowing for 2 lanes, and natural's 1.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But since the function is the same,
There's more intensity in the paved lane than it would be in the natural lane, so your development's going to be most likely less intense than your paved lane.
Wait, so is a paved lane a 2-lane street with no sidewalks?
Yes.
Right.
Why would we? Where would
It's
we want that?
yielding, so
Oh,
it's a yielding street.
and a natural lane is.
Natural lane is one lane, basically. Again, no sidewalks because ideally, typically it's yielding, so it's gonna be slower traffic.
Okay.
Think of your play streets, right?
No, I think that the problem I have with it is that the function of a lane is described as providing access to buildings. So two-way traffic should not come into play at all. If you need to accommodate two-way traffic, then you would be utilizing maybe a yield street or something like that, right? Because that's for moving vehicles through a neighborhood. A lane in this case is simply to provide the ability for a vehicle to be moved to a building. It's not to move through the neighborhood. So I think 24 feet, I don't think a developer would choose 24 feet because obviously it's going to be much more expensive, and why would you if you can do less? But I don't understand why it is so we would want it to be so markedly different from a natural lane width at 12 to 14 feet. It's essentially doubling the width for the same purpose, for the same function. So that's I
think that
I find that hard to understand.
the concern too would be that the developer might be pushed into the 24-foot at TRC or something of that sort.
Yeah.
I do also see one other low concern is that the right-of-way width and the pavement width are the same, or 24 feet max, and you really want some will buffer that.
Yeah, the right-of-way width should always be greater than the pavement width.
Not the same. Yeah, so that one, I just chop that down and reduce that maximum pavement width, and the right-of-way width could stay the same.
Well, maybe with part of this discussion, I mean, we're kind of going through each of these at a high level, but for next meeting, it may be worth taking a closer look at natural lane, paved lane, and curb lane and see if there's a need for all three of those, or if they could be consolidated into one that would fit all of the potential applicable uses, or maybe two, or just, that could be something that
Yep.
you can discuss in more detail at the next meeting.
Yeah. I mean, my sense is generally, as a bicyclist, I'd rather not have curbs, but I understand sometimes for stormwater control, they're really necessary. But I would, other than that, and I do feel like I'm in an escape route when I can just drive off the edge of the road, and sometimes I do. I feel I just need more room, that's way too close. So it's almost like maybe curb lane does need to be a little bit, I don't know.
Well, also, these are different areas of town potentially.
Right.
Your natural lane's gonna be more rural, probably. Your paved lane's gonna be your suburban, and your curb lane's gonna be your urban.
Well, actually, you know what, think of this, our subdivision regulations don't even allow for a gravel, everything has to be paved, don't they? Pretty
We'll be changing that,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, okay.
so.
I would argue that a paved lane is essentially a driveway serving multiple buildings. Does it make sense to suggest a 24, that kind of width for that purpose?
Pavement width or right-of-way width?
Pardon?
Pavement or right-of-way?
The pavement width.
Yeah.
Yeah. The right of way, that, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about that, but the pavement width at a max of 24 feet seems something that we would want to avoid because, if we're concerned about heat islands in developments, then we don't want to have that much pavement happening, or for it to spread over time.
And certainly, vehicle speeds in parking lots are extremely dangerous because there are a lot of pedestrians coming from behind cars.
Good point.
This is where you really want to, calm down near a building, around a building. You definitely want people going slow.
Yeah. So let's note this and give it some thought. I do hear what you're saying too, Lindsay, about the possibility of combining these and just allowing for either an unpaved or a paved option, rather than describing them separately. But that actually, can I throw something else out there before we get too far down the road from this one? When we talk about pavement or paving, does your mind immediately go to asphalt?
Mine does, yes.
Yes.
Mine does
But,
too.
yeah,
Right.
because pavement, it could be pavers, pavement
Right.
is anything you drive on. And
Right.
that was a major discussion on a project because somebody had proposed seashells, and I accepted it, and the planner at the time went ballistic.
Well, I
But she
think
meant
that may be
business
something to think about also as we read through this. What are we talking about when we're saying pavement in these standards?
Yeah.
Probably not a discussion to have already, but I think that there's opportunity.
Was that? Yeah, it's a private driveway, and you wanted seashells.
There's
That's fine.
I think there's opportunity in utilizing a different pavement to indicate travel lanes, so let's say you want a travel lane of 10 feet, but you want to provide access for emergency vehicles that is easier and utilize a different kind of paver to widen the roadway, but visually the travel lane is still 10 feet.
Yeah, we've done that with
Right. No curves.
geotech or turf block.
Yeah.
These different
Yeah,
concrete
right,
blocks
right.
that grass grows
Right.
through in some limited locations,
Right.
and they work fine.
Yep.
Except for
Exactly.
people, the other problem with like fire lanes and emergency vehicle access, when you make them wider, people park, and then it chokes it down worse. If it's narrow and a truck can't get through, nobody parks there. So it's
All right.
Curb lane. Paved road providing access through blocks and to the size blocks backs of residential and mixed-use buildings. Dimensions, time, right-of-way width is 18 to 24 feet. Pavement width is 24 feet maximum. Movement type is yielding. Number of travel lanes 1. Travel lane width 9 feet minimum, 18 feet max. Unmarked. Parking lanes, one side or none, unmarked. Parking lane width 7 feet max, and parking style type parallel. Curb and drainage. Curb type is granite. Drainage type open or close. Encroachments. Verge width be 4 feet on one or two sides. Walkway type none, or sidewalks on one or two sides. Walkway width 5 feet minimum, 8 feet max. Planter type tree pits or continuous planter. Planter width 3 feet minimum, and furnishing zone 1 foot minimum, 6 feet maximum. So what I envision this is kind of your mixed-use neighborhood, or compact areas that may utilize this type of way, or compact developments, potentially.
the one thing that tree pits or continuous planter, I've also seen tree planters, which they're sitting height, so people sit all the way around the edge of them. And those seem to work out nice, and it might be nice to throw that in there just as an option.
Yeah, I don't think we're
Eliminating, it's just kind of the.
yeah, just a
it's
this is what we have
yeah.
concept.
So on that one, we can have no walkway.
Or sidewalk.
Oh, right, but you shouldn't verge with, and this is silly, little nitpicky thing, but shouldn't verge with also say none. Because if there's no walkway, then you don't have a verge with.
Hmm.
Yes or no? Is that true?
Well, it's
You could probably still add a grass strip.
But if there's no sidewalk,
You know.
no, none sidewalk or sidewalk on one or two sides.
The verge could be, could facilitate emergency vehicle access while maintaining
You know.
a narrower paved lane.
Well, this one's curved, so that'd be kind of tough, but yeah.
Well,
Well,
I see what she's saying, though, the
Yeah.
definition of the verge, it says between a road and a sidewalk.
So yeah.
So if you don't have a sidewalk,
Yeah.
Right.
you wouldn't have a verge.
right.
Yeah.
I also think that here again, the right-of-way width is 18 to 24 feet max, and the pavement width is 24 feet maximum. So we're getting into this,
Central Street situation.
yeah,
That's not what we want to design.
Yeah.
I also, just pointing out that just the definition of, so the previous typologies, the footpath, natural lane, and paved lane, are all described as ways, a paved way,
Yeah, this should be. You know.
and the definition of way is a private or public path or trail specifically designed for pedestrian and bicycle usage. So
Yeah, it should be a
if
road.
that is the definition we're using, and I think that's a good definition.
yeah.
And I also think that having a description of those kinds of ways is really good and important. It should just be reflected.
Yeah, it should be a road. So
Well, I think so if we go with that, the definition, then the paved lane, while the paved lane is good, I think it shouldn't be that big. It shouldn't be that wide. It should be much smaller, and it should not refer to, parking. It should not refer to, it shouldn't have a pavement width of 24 feet max if it's really designed for pedestrian and bicycle use exclusively. Because if we do that, and if we stick to the definition of way and the definition of road, then it makes sense to have the separation because it's a different kind of traffic that it's supposed to accommodate.
I think it's just an oversight.
Right? I actually think that's a smart way to go,
Yeah.
to have that, and then we can just reduce the or align natural lane and paved lane travel widths and right-of-way widths so that they match, and they look more like something that you would like a bicycle street, essentially. So you can accommodate, two-way traffic, but it's not a travel lane for vehicular traffic.
But I think your original point is in the description of the paved lane, it says a paved way.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be road.
And that should say road.
No, I don't think
Should say-
so. I don't think so. I think it shouldn't.
But this paved lane allows for vehicular traffic.
Right, exactly. I think that's the problem.
Okay.
I think the problem is that we are kind of like Austin said. What's the difference here between the paved lane and the rural road? And so if we utilize the first three to as definitions and examples of infrastructure designed to accommodate pedestrian and bicycle traffic, or non-vehicular traffic, then it makes more sense again. Versus the following ones, which are all roads.
Could we?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I think just looking at the designs right here and the diagrams, they're specific. They are trying to incorporate vehicular traffic, like natural lane, paved lane, curb lane. Well, maybe. So, but I agree with you. So maybe it's changing the definition of way as well, to say the priority is for pedestrian and bicycle traffic, and secondary is vehicular. I mean, tertiary.
Right, or can accommodate vehicular traffic.
Can accommodate.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's designed as a essentially as a bicycle or a pedestrian roadway,
Right.
rather than a
With the ability to accommodate vehicular traffic.
right. So you have access. It functions as a driveway. Also, you can get there, but it's not to facilitate through traffic with a vehicle.
I would like more thoughts on that from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, is that the direction?
Well, I think let's throw these things out and just let them percolate, and then
Yeah.
come back next month and maybe have firmed that up for ourselves, and then have another conversation about that. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay, sorry. Just writing down something. Next is crossweave. Paved way providing pedestrian access through blocks. Dimension design, right of way width, 12 to 30 feet max. Pavement width, not applicable. Movement type, pedestrian. Number of travel lanes, none. Travel lane width, none. Parking lanes, none. Parking lane width, nothing. So no vehicular. Elements, curb type, none. Drainage type, open or closed. Verge width, 30 feet max. Walkway type, shared. Walkway width, 12 to 30 feet. Planter type, none. Planter width, none. Arrangement zone, none. So this is basically more of an alley. Not even an alley, smaller than an alley. So, something really
A
would be
pedestrian way.
Pedestrian way, yeah.
Then why does it have a 30-foot verge? I'm confused.
It could be that wide. I'm
Yeah, like
guessing.
like a courtyard would fall into this, or that's what the 30 feet is for.
I mean, it conflicts again with that definition of verge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
guess-
like you could go down one of these and then it gets wider, and then narrower.
We'll just get rid of it. Just not applicable.
Right.
Just do that. So there's no sidewalks.
And I kind of question whether or not just the name crossweave is the best name for it.
Okay.
It doesn't say, and I don't really know, it was an alley. Sounds like an alley. Is it an alley?
Well, alley accommodates vehicles.
It's a
Yeah, well,
pedestrian
alleys
way.
accommodate, yeah. Well, I don't know, but maybe crossweave is a good term. It sounds familiar to me. I think being familiar to a lot of people.
We've defined it right here.
Yeah, no.
So again,
I'm not-
here is, I mean, this, to
I'm
me,
a
this is
say what you mean kind of guy.
this is a really interesting typology to me, because if the width is such that, again, emergency vehicles can pass through,
Well,
then,
they'd be challenged, some of them would be challenged.
okay, maybe,
Yeah.
but if the width is designed to, or it allows for emergency vehicle access to the rear of a building,
Yep.
That's the exception to the rule of the use, of course, but otherwise it's a pedestrian way. Right, it's not designed to accommodate vehicles, but it provides, it has a safety function.
Yeah.
It does, because it's not promoting like outdoor seating or anything. It's just strictly travel through. This is a cut through.
Hmm.
There are a couple of these in town, right? Like
Trying to think.
behind the post office, I think there's one. Or
Well, that's
It
gonna be
used to be a
private
street,
driveway.
and now it's
Driveway?
That's the
yeah,
old Rock Street.
yeah. I was just doing the same exercise. I'm trying to think. The only thing I can think of is maybe between the mill buildings, Penstock. I know it's kind of a street, but
Mm.
as you go down
Yeah, right by the mill space.
by the mill space, right there.
Yeah.
That's what.
I would consider that a drive. And I think we're coming to the type of pavement. And I think when you have a pedestrian way,
Yeah.
you don't want the pavement to look exactly like the pavement that you would encounter on a vehicular travel lane.
Made a note, define pavement.
Yeah.
So
I think then, because then you visually communicate, this is for this type of utilization. And so you don't get this accidentally somebody driving through there, it becomes an alleyway over time. Because the pavement is a different type. It's concrete pavers or whatever
The
it is.
Faneuil Hall effect.
Yeah.
When you go down to Faneuil Hall.
That's right.
Almost any vehicle can go up that curb. It's a gentle curb.
Yep.
But they don't. You're on brick pavers. You
Right.
know you're not supposed to drive there.
Right.
But
Exactly.
delivery vehicles can do it.
Yeah.
mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
some cities have just lovely cross weaves, where they've been,
Concord's got a bunch of that. They
Mhm.
drive-throughs.
Yeah.
and they're planters and
Yeah.
different pavements, and it's a very inviting way to get from here to there. They can be quite lovely,
Absolutely.
but I don't know, about 30 feet wide.
I think that just because it could end up being almost courtyard-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also don't think this will come into play too much. Most of our developments are going to be the 20-lot house lot subdivisions. Or single commercial use space.
Maybe.
Unless we get any
Redevelopments.
redevelopments.
Some redevelopment potential.
Yeah.
If somebody puts in a more, I don't know what the term is for it. You're starting to see them around where it's very small front lawns, everybody's close together with an alleyway in the back. I don't know what to call that.
Cottage cluster, like
Yeah.
cottage
Or
court.
cottage.
Yeah, cluster.
Development.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, they can really be lovely attractions.
I think that's the kind of thing that we would want to have downtown, to connect streets for pedestrian traffic, to facilitate pedestrian use of the downtown, and access to buildings that you might not. You don't need to be able to drive to the front of that building. You could just walk there. So that the downtown has more pedestrian circulation possibilities. I think it's a wonderful typology to include if we address the pavement issue.
Mhm.
I think
Seashells are
for the pavement issue, something we may want to consider, particularly in this conversation about the natural lane versus paved lane
Yeah.
versus curb lane, or cross weave, which kind of all fit in a similar category, but adding something in here, a field in here for surface treatment, because then we could say allowable surface treatments could be pavement, cobblestone, brick, so that it opens it up a little bit more too to maybe it is unpaved and it's gravel, or
That's a nice
Then we don't
definition,
necessarily have
surface
to-
treatment.
then we don't have to define what pavement is.
Yeah.
It can just be
Be in the
the surface of the way
Yeah.
or road can be discussed.
No, that makes sense. And then you could combine something like natural lane and paved lane,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? And then just
Because
have,
then
yeah.
the
two
allowable
different-
surface treatments could
Yeah.
be
right.
options.
You're screwing up the table. It's gonna be on the.
I'm sorry.
It also brings to mind, though, or maybe we're getting there, but I don't think we are. So we have with the cross weave, we have a pedestrian way, just for this kind of pedestrian typology. We don't have one for a bicycle way.
I think there is a,
bicycle road.
you got a protected lane on here.
No, but what I mean is a strictly this, the equivalent to a pedestrian way for bicycle usage.
Bicycle.
Shared use or bicycle?
A bicycle path, exactly right. So because if let's imagine I guess you could utilize the paved lane for that purpose, I suppose, and we could fit it under there. But yeah, maybe it could fit under there. I think it speaks to the differentiation between if we have two sets of categories, those roads that are about vehicular traffic while accommodating other uses, and then ways which are where the order is reversed and the primary use is non-vehicular traffic.
Right, there's this, where is it, the neighborhood greenway, where am I looking at?
Neighborhood Greenway or shared use path. Page is.
Oh, yeah, there's that, that's kinda like that.
So
So
are
you
you?
mean it's coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think that is, basically.
Oh, gotcha. Yep.
So, but are you saying that you think that something like the cross weave, where it says paved way for riding pedestrian access, we should add a bicycle access in there as well?
It could, yeah, we could think about it like that. I was thinking that that we split this into two categories, these typologies. One where the primary intended user is primary intended use is non-vehicular, with vehicular traffic possibly being allowed as kind of incidental traffic. And the other category would be one where the primary use is vehicular traffic, with other uses accommodated in various ways.
They've sort of
Does that-
done
Yeah,
that, but
there is a
cross weave
shared
kinda
lane in
separated.
there, so, I mean, that's equal right, that's like equal rights bicycle and, vehicle. And then neighborhood greenway there would be equal rights, all three, pedestrians included, I think. Although, I don't know, is that just, could that be like a commercial area too? Neighborhood greenway?
Neighborhood Greenway.
It's
Or is that
just
more-
a
I think that's more
place.
neighborhood.
More neighborhood?
Yeah. I mean, I see it could intersect with the commercial node,
Yeah.
leading up to it, and then there's a transition.
Or, that could be used in a downtown, I think. That type of thing where it's,
I've seen the.
I don't know. There's businesses there, but it's an everything road, You can get a car down it, but it's, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Maybe crossweave should just be moved over with the shared use path of the neighborhood greenway. I mean, it's kind of plopped in the middle of a curb lane.
Yeah, why wouldn't you be allowed to have bikes down there? Or, that would be,
Well,
Well, I mean, I think
well, I guess it wouldn't be
You know,
cars
I think
allowed down there.
it's
so-
kind of why we don't allow scooters on sidewalks,
Yeah.
because speed is so much greater, and you I think a pedestrian way makes sense here, but these are all I think questions that we should kind of think through as we're reading through this again between the meetings, and
Yeah.
maybe try to reorganize this a little bit, or at least understand it more completely in our heads so that it flows.
I guess think of it this way: is there merit to have a typology in the toolbox that has only pedestrian ways and not, like, for this instance, do we want that as an option, or
It's called a sidewalk.
Yeah, but it's all, it is, but it's also the, I mean, we got two in there, right? We have,
I mean, to
there's
add
your cross weave, and then there's also, where is,
the shared use
the
tab.
footpath? Oh, that's first, okay. And then there's footpath, so we have
Yeah.
two of those,
I think footpath is more kind of your rural setting.
yeah.
Well, I guess not, it could be neighborhood too, but this is more like if you're in a cottage cluster, you have a footpath in the middle. So your parking is, let's say, you come into your lot, you have like a little parking lot. In front of your parking lot, you have a footpath going into bisecting the lot, and then you have row housing right
Mhm.
there. So it's not inviting to bicycles unless you're walking a bicycle. You're
Right.
walking through here. That's what the footpath is.
Yeah.
Whereas the cross weave is more, you're cutting through a block, and it could be, if it's narrower, probably not as conducive for bicycling through. If it's wider, maybe it is. What happens if you have a different pavement type, like cobblestone, kind of difficult to ride a bike. So there could be other elements you could incorporate that would deter.
Well, you typically
yeah.
want bikes, I mean, what if there's businesses down there, or, like, you
Yeah.
want people to bike?
I mean,
I'm not saying-
I think we have to remember that it's a description of a type of access that a developer could suggest they want to use in order to, make their development work. And I think a cross weave as a pedestrian way, it's a perfectly wonderful thing to suggest developers include, because it adds it basically requires people to get out of their cars and be in this space, which I think is desirable in certain areas of town, and especially downtown. So I see a lot of merit to having a typology like that in here.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas a footpath is really more of a, getting from here to there.
Yeah.
A cross weave is kind of, ambling along,
Yeah.
checking things out. It's not about getting from point A to point B. It's about providing pedestrian access to buildings.
Is there a scenario where you wouldn't want bicycles on a cross weave?
Yes. I think, like I said, I mean, you may require bicycles to, reduce their speed.
Yeah.
But
To dismount zones in some
or
places.
I think because of the conflict, the speed issue, and the conflict, the potential conflict, can be very real, and for serious accidents. I think there's a lot of merit to having something that a pedestrian way that does not allow bicycle traffic at all. Just like you don't want a bicycle to ride along on a sidewalk. Just because it's not safe.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not too worried about bikes, especially out
Right.
away from, the storefronts where somebody can step out and get labeled by a bike. The most incongruous use is putting a bicycle on a road like 108. We should allow for people to safely ride, on a paved surface from one building to another. I think of even the cross weaves can be the little stubby things that are in numerical miles, when you can go from in Exeter
Right.
from one mall to another, one shopping center to another, through a back little way.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
those connections and pedestrian links, I think, are critically important. I think overall in this, I think that Now, this is really for planning and land use people. They're not going to create long bike lanes. They're not in that business. The town might,
Right,
but they're
exactly.
not going to. And I think what we should do is probably just move this back to Lindsay and Bart to clean up a little bit of what we've kind of said. And it's going to be a living document no matter what. You know, in a year they say, oh, geez, you know, we got to fix this. And there's no big deal. They can fix it in-house and change it. My sense is to move along with just, they've got a sense of what we've said so far. And don't let perfect be the enemy of good. This is good. This is a lot better than what we have.
No, I agree. I think we should keep going and maybe I agree and create a little bit more order and make sure that there's consistency around definitions that we utilize and how they're utilized, and we have real understanding. Why is there paved lane, natural lane? What's the difference? Why do they both exist? Do we want to have both, or do we just differentiate by allowing or describing different kind of surface treatments and leave it at that? And then a developer proposes, oh, we want to pave this thing with using pavers, or no, we don't want to pave this at all. We want to keep it natural, which would be an option.
Right, because those elements would be on private property. It's not something the town's going to take over
Right.
maintenance for. So if they
Right.
want a stone dust path,
Exactly.
go for it, dude.
Exactly.
They'll be maintaining it. You know, it's,
So on that, do you want me to continue through these typologies, or do you want to kind of jump to the next sections? I think we have a kind of an idea right now. And then, there'd be some offline discussions too, individually, with your comments. So I think general consensus is, really hone in on pavement width.
Yeah.
Change some definitions that prioritize different modes based on lane typology or road typology. So kind of, and then also clean up the verges where it doesn't make sense with sidewalks.
Right.
And then the other thing I hear consistently, I think those are the ones. And then just looking through here, and then kind of clean up the tables too. Reorganize them to be more orderly and intuitive. And I think
Table 2, which is table 2?
table 2.
Did you say tables also?
Oh,
Oh, as well. When I say 2, as well.
got it. Sorry.
Yep. You good?
It's my second language.
I get it.
it.
English is my second language. So, let's see. So I'll just go to additional standards. This is on page 3. And these are specific to different road typologies or weight. So, A, footpath 1, width must provide we just amended this to 4 feet minimum clearance width of continuous passage. 2, surface may be compacted gravel, but it must be smooth, durable material. 3, pedestrian ways without a furnishing zone may accommodate required street furnishings anywhere in the right of way.
I almost wonder, footpath, are we over-regulating something? I mean, a footpath
Yeah,
between the woods, we telling somebody it's got to be 4 feet wide?
right.
It's a footpath.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my bad.
Again,
But I think.
we want to be accommodating all abilities too.
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
we do.
we do, but at some point,
They can always ask for a waiver.
what's that?
They can always ask for a waiver.
Yeah, I just, I hate to be too regulatory.
Well,
I mean, it's not, this is a designed footpath. This is a built footpath. This is not a, something that somebody walks
Organic,
out of, right,
Yeah, organic, through the woods
yeah.
type
It's
thing.
not a trail.
Yeah. B, natural lane. 1, right-of-way width may be extended 20 feet max to support fire emergency service equipment. So this is kind of what Lindsay was touching upon earlier. C, cross wave. Number 1, pedestrian ways without furnishing zone may accommodate required street furnishings anywhere in the right-of-way. D, neighborhood street. The road may drop one or both parking lanes for portions of its length, as long as the resultant space is given to adjacent verge assembly. So you're kind of like bumping up the vegetation, you know.
I'll go back to this common terminology. Will designers and people reading this know what a verge is? Or
Yeah,
do
'cause we
have to
define it.
Keep going back to the what is it again? Go back to the definition, try and figure it out.
Hopefully they have 2 screens in the computer so they can just go back and forth.
All right.
We could consider calling it buffer.
Sure.
It's more commonly used in transportation design stuff,
That
but
sounds so much better to me.
it doesn't,
Sure.
open for discussion.
I think that makes sense.
Everyone's going to normally know what that is without having to go back to the definitions, figure out what the heck are they talking about there.
Has anybody ever heard of that strip of land being referred to as a verge before?
No.
I've heard it called all kinds of things, but never a verge.
Right, yeah.
We'll change it.
It's on the verge of being in the street.
And that's what
Can we call it the
Yeah.
event horizon?
On the verge of getting there. Almost there.
Warning, warning.
That's funny. You're on the verge right now.
Yeah.
What?
Find the gap. E, commercial street. Angle parking not permitted unless demonstrated by the applicant that angle parking or combination of parking space alignments better achieve the objectives of this regulation. F, rural road. If a rural road provides 3 feet minimum shoulder, it should have a 1 foot hatch buffer to the travel lanes.
What is a hatched buffer?
So it's like a hatch, like a
Painted?
painted hatch, yeah.
Markings?
Yeah.
We don't want, that's gotta be maintained. Or it's just it's gotta be painted every year or it's gonna go away.
Okay, we can axe that if you want, or we can think of an alternative.
I mean, the worst case scenario is a fog line, but because everybody's well equipped to do those, but even fog lines, a lot of towns are trying to limit how many streets they do that because it gives increased speed, sense of I can go fast.
Mhm.
Bicycles are supposed to be in that 8-inch strip there. That's their spot. So I'm gonna buzz them, but it was just a cost aspect of having to paint, all these rural roads with fog lines.
And it,
That's just more of a safety issue, right?
yeah, and if you look at the rural road description, it calls for a 3 foot minimum shoulder. And so if under the additional standard, if a rural road provides a 3 foot minimum shoulder, it isn't. I mean, if it is a minimum shoulder width, then
You just make it 4. And you axe the.
it would make it 4. But yeah, I mean,
just,
what's the
Just make it 4.
right? I don't.
I think it should be 2.
2.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier, just that standard roads now,
What
the
did-
majority of them have a 2-foot shoulder,
Yeah.
just the way they're constructed.
So here's a question that I have around rural road. Why do we have this? I mean, what development can we envision in which a rural road of this nature is
Yeah.
desirable or would be the first choice for a developer to want to put in.
Yeah, I don't think we have the land.
Right, right.
You're right.
So maybe we can just strike the whole thing.
Okay.
Because this sounds like a road that, that,
Yeah.
It's a road like Ash Swamp Road.
yeah, a design standard that
Yeah.
if you have to do something like, that's a,
No, but,
Big
developer
development.
might not be, but it might be a standard that the town might aspire to. This is what we decide a rural road should be. And yeah, the developers, and lives inside the site plan regulations, but nonetheless, they're standards, townwide standards. And we might say, well, it is our goal to have 2-foot wide shoulders. And so I don't see, it's only a section this big. So I don't see a problem. I don't think.
let me ask you this question, Lindsay. What's the point of a shoulder?
To provide a little bit of width for potential pulling off to the side if needed, to provide some stability within the clear zone, for if you need to swerve and avoid something, there shouldn't be any obstructions in the clear zone. It's more stable so that you can drive off the side, or to help keep the stability of the pavement intact when you have people, taking a turn. You have the 2-foot shoulder to help keep the pavement there instead of rutting and eroding all away.
Breaking away, chipping away at the edge of pavement.
It's to help with the stability of the roadway itself. It's
It's
not.
more road preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it also helps with drainage away from the apron.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be walking in it if you're.
I ain't
That's
walking the road at that point. I mean, people don't really walk on those type roads, like Bay Road.
No.
People may walk on it when a car comes, but for the most part, they're walking on the side of the road.
Yeah.
But it is about the edge of pavement stability, because otherwise it's going to crumble each time somebody cuts a corner a little bit tight.
I mean,
Chunks of asphalt breaking off.
I think, considering that this is where this is going to live, I don't think we should include this typology. I
do think-
appreciate the idea that we should have a definition that a town-wide definition, but I don't think it should live there. I don't think that I can't imagine the planning board wanting to include this, because it doesn't really make sense, right? I mean, under what circumstances would this, when would this be used?
Two of the gravel pits got redeveloped.
I don't think you use a rural road in there.
You wouldn't, yeah.
No, I mean, the way it's described, I mean, if you look at the description or the definition of it, a paved road accommodating significant through traffic located predominantly in rural areas. Significant through traffic, I mean, we have those roads, but
Yeah.
there are, 3 or 4 of those that you would,
Right.
that
I
you
don't
would
think
call
there's any-
rural, right?
I don't think there's any opportunity for extension.
Right. Yeah, no, I don't see any developer doing it. There's, no.
Yeah.
Just get rid
And
of it.
that's the only concern
Yeah.
I have with this because of where it lives.
Yeah, and it's not pedestrians and bicyclists. So this is sort of the type of development that if somebody were to develop something like that we would be trying to avoid.
Is there any
Right.
merit to having it in there? Like, I could be completely off on this, but let's just say on one of our rural roads, if a developer comes in with a fairly significant development, and is entering onto that
Mhm.
existing rural road, and maybe that rural road doesn't have such good shoulders, or
Offsite
this is,
improvement.
yeah, this is aspirational.
Right.
Is there any merit to having it in there that you could then say, well, this is where we want this road to go, so we want you to, do some improvements for so many feet on either side of the entrance?
That does happen, off-site improvements, if you
Yeah.
don't impact the road to the point that the road's insufficient, and the town wants, or the planning board wants them to upgrade the road, they might. And very often
Yeah.
it is for 1,000 feet or 1,500 feet, something like
Segments.
that.
And I imagine too, if you're gonna build a rural road, that's gonna cost significantly more, just because of all the base work you have to do in order to accommodate such volume. and loads, so.
But it's very similar to like when somebody like the industrial park comes in, and the state says, well, you gotta add 2 feet, and you gotta add a turning lane, you gotta add this. I mean, those things do happen. That they do have to upgrade an existing road.
So yeah, maybe there is merit to have it.
It's not gonna be common.
Yeah,
But it
I
could
mean,
happen.
I don't see it happening at all, but,
Well, 108's been upgraded numerous times.
right, but I mean, those provisions already exist though, so, especially when it goes onto a state road, this would still not apply, because it's not under town control.
Yeah.
We still have to
Um,
follow state standards, see if it was turned over urban compact, so.
Yeah, say Packers Falls Road, if the
Yep.
water treatment plant became a restaurant,
Yeah.
that road would be considered a rural road, but it may not meet the standards in the area of that restaurant with 100 cars coming and going every day. The planning board might say, you know, the road ain't that good.
Repaved Packers Falls Road, rebuild it.
No, just in the area. It would be just, 500 feet this way, 500 feet that way. You need
Yeah.
a turning lane. Those type things, those offsite improvements do happen with bigger projects. And I can't envision too many, but they do
Okay.
happen.
But in those cases, it would be designed for the turning lane, and it wouldn't necessarily fit
Right.
this.
Right, if
So it
that's what the engineer wanted.
Right.
Because it might not be a turning lane, it might just be bring it up to the spec.
Right.
Is there any road in town that the vision of it would be more like a rural road and it's not? So you'd want that in here, again, if a developer's coming in or something's coming in, you'd say, okay, someday we want that road to be upgraded, so we want you to do this section of it.
So maybe like a class 6 turning into a class 5.
But if we did, I don't know that, well, maybe.
So there's, I guess what I'm asking is there a road that in the back of everybody's mind is like, yeah, that's
Think of
gonna be
one.
like an ash swamp road?
Yeah, I'm thinking one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we do want it in.
For which purpose?
They're not telling us. They don't know, but they're.
For the purpose of a class 6 becoming a class 5.
But even a class 5 road, maybe I'm getting hung up on the wrong thing here, but a paved road accommodating significant through traffic, right? Located predominantly in rural areas. So
Yeah.
that, to me, that means a road that takes you a fairly long distance at a fairly high speed, and it's a through road. Which developer is going to build a through road?
I'm not talking about the building a whole through road, I'm talking about if a developer builds something coming onto a road that the town eventually would see in this category, then the town could say, yeah, this is where we're going, so we want you, to kind of get your impact zone up to our new standard.
Yeah.
And do you even have that
It's
authority?
just a short little section in the whole document. And I think that there's other sections in this, I think that will probably never see the light of day. So it's okay to have a few different categories in my mind. And if they never see the light of day, it's fine. But it's also nice to have it there. And be able to-
I don't know, I mean, it provides an option.
Yeah.
So this can be proposed, to design whatever, we may read it as this is, probably not going to happen. But if a developer said, oh no, but I want this section to be a rural road with a, pavement width of 24 feet, 2 lanes with shoulders, so you end up having a 30-foot wide roadway going through, designed to that standard. It's only 600 feet long, but whatever. That's what I want. I don't know, is that something that we want in a
Well, the
development?
planning board gets to decide what kind of, through engineering council, the engineer's gonna look at it. That's what I recommend, the planning board's gonna go with it. And I think with the two people who are working with developers right now, they say, yeah, we might want it. I'm game with, you know.
I'm
they-
just wondering if
If
we can
that's the
just add some-
majority-
Well, I'm just wondering, we're gonna look through the road standards again, the site subdivision regs, like maybe we can put some language in there that, again, I have to go through it more carefully, maybe it's already there, but, that the applicant has to justify, you know, the typology, you know, that they select.
The other aspect of this is that this doesn't have to be limited to subdivision regulations. It becomes a town back to
Yeah.
all the place, everywhere.
Yep.
And, you know, we might have something
There we
in
go.
subdivision regulations of how we do our signage. But it's kind of what we want to do throughout, not just in subdivision. We just want it all consistent.
That's a good point. So on that note, what would you like to see in the rural road?
Well, right, and that
Yeah.
goes back to Austin's point about not accommodating, you know, bicycle traffic, which, you know, is that something that we would want to encourage? This is purely for vehicular traffic. If we were to build a new road, would we want to build one that is just for vehicular traffic?
No, I would say even if it goes to nowhere, you know, it's forward thinking to have, you know, if that's one of our main goals is to accommodate all modes of
Right.
transportation.
Right.
You know, so anything that gets built should consider those, even if it literally goes nowhere. You know, that's how the town eventually has, you know, a functioning
Yeah.
transportation network
Yeah.
for all modes. You know.
And bicycles are allowed to go everywhere except for class 1. So whether we want it or not, they're allowed to go on them. And then there's also the newer studies that are saying that wider isn't necessarily safer for bicycles because
Right.
people go faster.
Right.
And so there's that theory that we went wider and wider for bicycle safety, and it turned out maybe it wasn't the best idea.
Right.
So bicycles will go on rural roads. I mean, I do pretty regularly.
No, I understand that, but would we want to, if you're gonna build a new road, would you want to build it in this way, rather than having a provision that, you know, accommodates safe bicycle traffic? I mean, you don't wanna go onto 108, I would call that a rural road, at least between
God,
Newmarket and Durham.
No, I don't think that's a rural road. I don't really consider, that's like a real state highway.
I think like
Yeah,
Packers Falls, like if you go from Durham,
Okay,
Newmarket to Durham,
okay,
that might be a road. Well, I don't know. It's
yeah,
debatable.
Yeah, I think
Ash
Packers
Swamp,
Falls
Ash
Road
Swamp,
or
that's a
Ash
rural road,
Swamp is-
right?
Yeah. I would
But
say.
108, I just think that that's a notch up.
How about okay, Wiley Falls, is that a rural road?
I would call it a rural road. I mean, what else is it?
Oh, color.
Yeah.
It's on the verge, a rural road, but it is
Depends where you are.
state route, yeah.
It's a state route, but it's still a, yeah, I mean,
S-curves in Lee, people are doing 60 on.
I think Austin made a good point there, and I've seen in my work in design, roads for new areas or some of these segments, even if it goes to nowhere,
Mhm.
being designed with a widened shoulder to accommodate for, or a widened shoulder on one side in anticipation that a sidewalk extension may come in 5 to 10 years. So I would go back to maybe the 4-foot shoulder if we're looking at rural roads accommodating bike lanes in the future. Then you would want the road to be designed with that additional width and stability initially so that it's much easier to add a segment of widened pavement or whatever you would add for the bicycle lane. So you could incorporate that in the requirement to have the wider shoulders for potential future connectivity.
This is specifically rural road, or
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
I mean, I think.
That's going to be a fast road though, with a 4-foot
Right.
shoulder on it. I mean,
I don't
It wouldn't
think.
be paved.
The shoulder's
Oh,
just.
That's what I'm
dirt.
saying, the shoulder is the.
yeah, but even so, that's still a
Gravel.
wider space. Doesn't that still, encourage more speeding?
Yeah,
It
there's
does
that-
tend to, yeah, because it opens up the
Yeah.
visual.
There's that balance
You've got
there.
the-
Should put
Yeah.
trees in it or something,
You have that
or
verge or the
something in the
buffer.
meantime, or.
There's a big thing that happens at about 35 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, deer jumping out from the woods or whatever. But
Yeah.
like fatal accidents don't happen under 35. Once you hit 35, fatal accident curve goes shooting up right up. But you do need some sightline distances around the curves and stuff, to see the bicyclist or whatever. And that shoulder does give you a sight line around curves. So, and bringing up the idea of this widened shoulder, it could come into some sort of subdivision regulations where there's a little bit of a taking, saying, hey, you gotta lop off 2 feet and give it up to the town for this, to the shoulder requirement. And that could end up being, they give up a little chunk of their land for, we had some discussions on that on 108 for a bicycle lane. We're gonna have a separated bike lane. And we're gonna have to be buying easements from tons of people, or buying land, I guess, quite a few people. So it is an opportunity to put it into the site plan review, and it might be that we squeak some land out of people.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't flow at all. I mean, if we're going to have a newly developed rural road, why would we have it developed without accommodating bicycle traffic right off the bat, rather than, it just doesn't.
Yeah, they're building it right then. They should, put in the
Yeah,
way.
I don't think they're gonna be building it. I think they'll be doing just very small segments, a couple hundred feet segment, and so it's gonna be inconsistency. But it's also building for the future, that we acquire it, and down the road we have this easement, or not easement, but
Right of way.
right-of-way.
Right away.
Yeah.
I mean, the right of way I can see, but I mean, I think we should we should leave it here, because I don't think I'm going to be convinced of the need for a rural road in this where this is going to live. But
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is the 2-foot shoulder, but you require the 2 foot of right of way to create the 4-foot shoulder.
Well,
You
we would
create-
already,
you
a rural
require-
road would need a 50-foot right of way. And that's,
Oh, so you already have it.
yeah. And that's well in excess of the amount of pavement that should be out there. 50 is pretty typical for.
At some point, we're gonna get into,
So then the traffic
ASHTO
doesn't matter.
we're gonna get into engineering requirements versus what we'd like to see.
yeah.
And it's just,
Well, but that's exactly it. Do we, under what circumstances would we want to see a rural road such as it is described? Why would we want somebody to build that? Because it doesn't safely accommodate pedestrians, it doesn't safely accommodate bicyclists.
but if you take, would you consider Bay Road?
Well, that's an
That's
existing,
already there,
that's an
yeah.
existing,
Yeah.
it's an
But
existing road.
that's
But
one,
this is about, why would we want to have somebody build this?
I see, you're trying to keep it to smaller.
I-
Okay, yeah.
More likely
That's-
than not, that will never be built.
Yeah, it's not gonna be built because of the cost. I mean, it's,
Well,
unless they're forced to it.
hence my point, let's not have it in there.
Yeah. But, yeah.
But that,
It's-
I just think it's a typology that, I mean, if it's a typology that we want, that we think that desirable, then we should include it. But if we don't, if that's something that we don't really want to see, or we know from experience from existing roads is problematic, Bay Road, for example, why would we want to have it in here?
Yeah.
You know, if you're never going to wear those pants, why are you buying them? Because they look good.
I don't know, I think I guess on this, my preference would be to leave it to Lindsay and Bart to decide. Because they're the ones that have to deal with administering it later.
I just go back to the probability aspect of it. We have no real opportunities for extensions. Anything that would look like this is probably a state road.
Right.
And so again, and more likely than not, developers will not want to do that. So I think what we should do is, if you like the standards, if we have to repair, it's something that DPW can look at when they're considering reconstruction or whatnot. So
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
more it's more of a town policy,
Yeah.
rural road.
DPW policy.
Yeah, DPW policy.
Yeah, I mean, could it be separated so that
Yeah.
it can't be built?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can do that.
We already have them. You know,
Yeah.
how do we improve them? And what
Right.
are those elements we like to include? And then we have that on, DPW's chalkboard.
That makes sense to me. So that there is essentially a description of what a rural road is supposed to look like, that can be used when reconstruction or repaving is considered, and we know how it's supposed to be striped, or DPW knows how to. I don't know. I mean, that's something that you have to kind of decide. But I think because the likelihood that something like this would be built by a developer is basically zero, I don't think we should have it in
I
here.
would like to emphasize, I think it's important to have that discussion of what you think, the town should be looking at.
Yes.
Within reason, on these rural roads. So I don't think we should drop it necessarily, yes, from here,
Yes.
not discussion.
No, I agree with you.
Right,
Yes.
I've lived through different public works directors and different people change, and, we've had people didn't believe in sidewalks, we've had people, we've had a lot of different values. And it's nice to come back to standards and have, this is the Newmarket's policy that's been adopted by the planning board, versus, now we don't need that, now I want that, that kind of a very, very, we're gonna do this in just a drop of a hat, it's just, I want that.
Yeah.
And
No, I
Changes.
I agree with that, and that would be maybe a policy or a
but we should have specs.
design standard that the town council could pass. The DPW could develop based on utilizing this and expanding on it, because there are different kinds of roads that DPW would be responsible for. And it just lives in a different place. There's some overlap,
Yeah,
but it certainly goes into a totally different direction, because through traffic essentially is something that exists on town roads,
right.
on existing town roads, not on newly developed neighborhood streets and lanes. So yes,
Wonderful.
let's not drop it altogether, but let's not include it in this appendix.
That's right. Let's nudge it somewhere else.
Yeah,
Okay.
would be my suggestion.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
So we got through the standards. Now we're on E, general road standards. Number 1, roads must be permanently open and provide public access as part of an overall connected transportation network. 2, all roads, both privately and publicly owned, must be open to the public, but may be maintained under either public or private ownership. So that one could probably get rid of, but we can discuss that. And 3,
And can I just throw in here,
Yeah.
this is speaking about roads, are we including the ways as well? Right?
Yeah, roads and ways, yep. I agree.
So I think we should probably be explicit about it, because we are differentiating
Yes.
between road and way in the definition.
Correct. I agree with you. And number 3, gates or other obstacles may not temporarily or permanently impede public access just get rid of that, along roads, except for on actively used. So maybe we can get rid of 3.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. I don't think we're going to get any farmers anymore. So
Well,
I think we'd like to encourage it, but discuss.
no.
Okay,
I was
great.
joking.
All right. So I think before we leave E,
Well, that does, I mean, it's already existing situation. There's a gate behind Rivermore between that and the 4 condos. That's one of was a required fire lane in the site plan. There is a gate there. It serves a function. They really don't want people driving through, and they had a lot of problem. They had a chain there for, actually, is it a chain now? I can't even remember.
I don't think there's
think it's a
anything there.
chain.
They changed it up.
I think it's just a chain hanging across, just private way. It's right by the condos, not Rivermore, but.
Oh, okay. The condos. So yeah.
Yeah,
Lang's Wharf.
yes,
Yeah.
they had a lot
Oh,
of problem
yes.
with people coming through,
Gotcha.
so,
Because that's more of a driveway. It's not a way.
okay,
Yeah. I would.
That's a parking lot.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. But it was required as a emergency access point,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay. All right. F, design. All roads must intersect with other roads forming a network. 2, to every extent practical, a new road must align with existing or anticipated roads on the opposite side of the street to allow for a continuous path of travel.
What does that mean?
So if you're planning, must align with existing or anticipated roads opposite side of the street to allow for a continuous.
Oh, just intersections, so you don't have offset.
Yeah.
You create.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Can that be reworded
Yeah,
to
that's
say that, to be
confusing.
more,
Yep.
the new road must align with existing, and then at the end, put some wording about, unless you can demonstrate that it can't be done, or.
Yep.
I think.
I'll
we should-
reword it.
Actually, that comes up to the point that many towns are not allowing Y intersections anymore. They have to be teed off. I don't know, that might even come down further off, but
I love Y intersections.
I kind of do too, but they're getting rid of them.
I know. It's sad.
Just slow down to 30. Oh, that's right.
So where developments proposed, number 3, where developments proposed abutting vacant land or land as planned to be redeveloped, new roads adjacent to the project perimeter must be extended to the abutting property boundaries and connect with any existing roadways or provide a stub to enable future connection.
Where development is proposed abutting vacant land.
Yeah, that makes
Land
sense.
That is planned to be redeveloped.
That's that interconnection, creating the network.
Adjacent.
You don't own that big old chunk of land,
Right.
but you create
So-
right away so it can connect.
What's the honeycomb
Exactly, yeah.
at the
And
end?
they're all over the place.
Yeah.
No, gotta try that one too.
Therefore, when required, step roads must be provided at intervals no further apart than 1,500 feet.
Can you explain that?
So basically, from my understanding, it's if there's going to be new roads there, there would have to be the opportunity for I think imagine as an intersection, or if there's going to be a new road. So stub road is a future road. That's my understanding.
Hmm.
So allow for future roads to be there.
That's a tough one to make, but I guess.
We can not consider it, so.
I just stumble over when required.
Oh, yeah, well, at least you have a way out by saying that, but.
I think it depends on probably the land use context, maybe.
So when
Where the
stub roads
where the
are-
roads are going, like, are they approaching a network on the other side? Maybe it's like a little further away.
Well, say you know, some big tract of land, whatever, 50 acres, and the person's buying something in the
Mhm.
middle.
Mhm.
He's got to provide some stub roads for future development on those other 225-acre parcels. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
not too common.
Right.
So, just for context, stub road is a dead end road built as a temporary extension of a new development designed to be connected to other streets to adjacent land and developed later.
Yeah.
Stops at the property line, often temporary turnaround.
Yeah, and the big thing is it's a right of way width, it's a 50-foot
Yeah.
chunk of land that they can't use for lots.
I might actually add that definitions. Okay. Cul-de-sacs and other dead-end roads are prohibited unless granted and waived by the planning board on a case-by-case basis to accommodate specific site conditions. Number 6, right-of-ways narrower than 40 feet and buffer assemblies narrower than 9 feet are exempt from all street plantings and street furnishing requirements.
Why would we do that?
Do we require street trees? I don't know if we even require street trees. Actually, we have, but that's just been kind of pulled out of the hat by the planning board.
It might be a landscaping requirement.
We did it on, I call it Rocky Road, but Rocky Lane. There were some trees required there.
I don't see it. Besides in the new standards. We'll look into that one. We'll mark it. Stay tuned. G, movement. One-way streets, one-way street is permitted by waiver and only when available narrow road types, including lanes or yield streets, cannot accommodate yield traffic because dimensional site constraints and on-street parking needs. B, when other street types cannot be wide enough to accommodate two-way traffic because of dimensional site constraints and on-street parking needs. Number 2. What? Want me to pause there?
Yeah, this is, Lindsay, this is because one way is typically bad. It's like for speed or
No, one way's not bad.
no. Is it? It's just a preference of. It's just a preference, or
Yeah, because otherwise you have to create. It could be a unnecessary amount of road that you're creating because now you have to meander through.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if you had two-way, it could be less.
yeah.
But again, there might be situations where it makes sense.
Yeah, one way can be appropriate when you have a parallel that can be the other direction
Yeah.
and for short distances.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about subdivisions or
Yep.
loops that may not be constructing all of them all at once, then you don't necessarily want one way in, but then
Right.
not a full traffic flow.
Okay.
2, when one-way streets are authorized, standards from the selected road type must be met, with the exception of right-of-way and pavement width metrics, which may be adjusted to reflect the lane reduction. H, sidewalks, number 1. Sidewalks must be constructed to or reconstructed according to sidewalk standards anytime a project proposes new buildings.
Mm.
2, sidewalks must be installed, widened, or modified according to Section D road and way typologies. Number 3, sidewalks must be maintained in a state of good repair by the owner of the property fronting any road.
Though that's intended for sidewalks within a
Yeah.
development, right?
Correct. It's not town.
Not town right of ways.
Correct.
Okay.
We would strive for that, but we understand our constraints.
Well, yeah, people would be up in arms if they were expected to maintain all of the sidewalks
Yeah.
that they're adjacent to.
Right.
Where are sidewalks defined in, under D? Because I don't think we have it.
I mean, the definition for each typology.
Well, it says that sidewalks must be installed, widened, or modified according to Section D road and way typologies, and if you look under that, I don't see any definition anywhere.
Aren't they talking about the standards that are over here in the
Right.
in the chart?
Well, it says, walkway type none or sidewalk on one or two sides, but where's sidewalk actually?
For the neighborhood street, we do have sidewalk, 2 sides, 5 foot to 8 feet.
Right.
So
It didn't
that's
spec
the
out.
only, well, no, that one in the curved lane also has the width, but it doesn't detail more than the width.
And that's only for the neighborhood street, the other ones just reference.
Well, Crossweed wouldn't have it.
So it's just the side, that's all it is, it's just the width and,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep. So
all right.
it's just the width, because then composition, I guess, would go back to maybe the engineering, like Astro, maybe, I'm not sure. What let me put it this way. Composition of the sidewalk, do we address it here, or is that somewhere else that we can reference to that addresses that construction? So construction standards.
Well, there's so many ways of doing it, though, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bituminous concrete with paver overlay, you can have concrete, you can have bituminous.
Correct. So
Sidewalk
Granite.
construction, we may want to define with road construction. So we have DPW policy, road and sidewalk construction standards that will most likely largely mirror a lot of DOTs.
do you have that available already, or is that something that needs to be created?
With DOTs, that's something we would need to create, similar to the driveway construction standards.
Okay. So that'd be, I think, useful, in here, if that's possible.
I would say we don't put it in here.
Can we reference it?
Reference it, yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That way we have flexibility to update it as
Correct. As amended
needed
from time to
based on
time.
current construction standards and safety standards and all that stuff.
Would that include choices of surfacing?
Good, yes.
Good, okay.
Yeah, so it'd be a companion document. Maybe, I don't know. To be discussed.
I mean, internal documents.
Yeah. Number 4, sidewalks must be paved with a fixed non-slip material. Number 5, sidewalks must be straight and direct as possible, except to avoid established trees or unavoidable obstacles.
Oh, we just mixed that one.
Okay.
One of the nicest ones in Portsmouth is the Bohenko Walk. It's a curvy sidewalk. It's really nice.
Well,
I think it's the purpose, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I think this is, that's something we should be careful with, because a sidewalk that's nice and curvy may look nice, but if it's not a straight path from here to there, people are not gonna walk on it. If it makes your travel longer, you're just gonna walk straight through the verge,
Yeah.
you know?
That's something to be
Isn't that
considered.
band? Verge?
Also, it does slow down
Oh,
bicycles.
verb, that's it.
Yeah, and the road could be, it could be a chicane for, for traffic, that would also potentially curb the sidewalk as well.
I
To
think
slow.
that one might be just fine unaddressed and just let the planning board look at it and make their comments and as the situation dictates.
Well, maybe have it and then ask for a waiver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's just, you're pushing people into a very homogeneous design. Everything's rectilinear, it
Yeah.
can't be good looking, it has to be straight. Versus gentle curves are
Oh, I
a
see
nice
what you're-
feature.
I see when I hear straight, I don't necessarily think in a straight line. But
Yeah,
but
that's what I think people
but-
would read it to be.
yeah.
I know some,
But how about we take straight out and just say as direct as possible?
yeah,
Or Mike's suggestion is take it out entirely.
we're delving into landscape design, and now all of a sudden we're telling an architect what to do,
Mm.
and I'm not much of an architect.
No, I agree with that, but on the other hand, this is about transportation networks, and if we want to have a functioning,
road, yeah.
functional transportation network, we want to make sure that.
Yeah,
that
so I think,
people-
I think what you're thinking, so
Yeah.
maybe it's more of a pedestrian path,
Yeah,
not a sidewalk parallel to a road.
right.
Well, parallel to the road is gonna follow the road as the road meanders.
Yep. So
But certainly there are some, gorgeous walkways, whether it's Central Park or it's Bohenko Park or,
Oh, sure.
even at UNH, if we took an aerial view, you'd see some curved, and they're fairly straight, because you're right, people will take the path of least resistance.
Right.
What UNH does is put up bollards and chains, and
I
so they
think
try to
it's-
bring up trees and the kids just.
Well, I mean,
I think it's like more. This will never happen, but you build a new road, and you're going through a lot of ledge. You're cutting through that mound, but it might be some. Oh, let's go this way a little bit. So let's bend the road a little bit, and then the sidewalk has to go with the road. So
Yeah,
as you're designing the road, you want it as straight as possible, but maybe to your point, it's just going to follow the road.
yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is. I wonder if this is just for the road, and then we don't care about in sight, off-road sidewalks per se,
Yeah.
They're not sidewalks.
right? The paths
Right.
or whatever. Yeah, at that point.
Yeah.
What does happen in any sidewalk, whether we want it or not, bicycles and e-bikes, e-scooters will be using it, and straight means fast, and especially.
Well, for new development, we're trying to get the bicycles in their own spot, or in the right spot,
Yeah,
I mean, if we implement this properly, hopefully they will be off the sidewalk, unless it's designed for it,
yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of with you as far as taking it out entirely.
The planning board still has to really look at every plan holistically.
Right. And it's going to be cheaper to have it, be next to the road rather than having
straight,
some
right.
some other
Right, they
meandering.
don't wanna put a lot of material in for no reason.
Right.
Unless they have some reason to do, seating or planters and curve the sidewalk around it.
Yeah,
A curvy sidewalk,
Or they have to leave the street, so they have to go around, come back and meet it somewhere.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's more of the point.
I would just say, let's take it out.
Okay.
I think one of the things that keys to getting people to walk is to make the walk interesting. If it's boring, people don't bother walking. It's not a fun walk. But it's like, hey, this is really interesting. It's fun. We get trees, planters,
Right.
whatever.
And if you can, you don't want to walk right next to a fast-moving traffic
No,
lane,
not at all.
so. Are we good with taking it out then?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, number 6, where sidewalks cross driveways or alleys, where sidewalks cross driveways or alleys, sidewalk must remain level, with no change in cross slope. The appearance of the sidewalk where it crosses a driveway or alley, including sidewalk materials, shall be maintained.
I think we should take that out.
I think we've got to take that up, because if you make something level, you get bird baths, and then you got ace puddles.
Yeah.
You actually want a pitch on everything, just a very slight pitch, so you don't get the bird baths.
What about the appearance of the sidewalk where it crosses a driveway or alley, including sidewalk material shall be maintained?
I think that's silly. So
No.
might, if you've got a concrete sidewalk, you'd have a concrete band across your driveway.
Yeah, that can make sense for. I mean, and not just like a house's driveway, but like if it's a busier business's driveway,
Right.
it'd be pedestrian safety.
Also thinking of plowing, and when that concrete, you go from bituminous concrete to concrete,
Yeah.
and you plow, that might get all dinged up too.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of what UNH tried to do with their paved crosswalks, right? And what we have crossing Main Street with paved crosswalks, to emphasize that there is a travel lane here, pedestrian travel lane, and to visually represent it in a continuous way, so that it's not, so that the person coming out of the driveway knows that they don't have the right of way here. They have to
Yeah.
yield. So it,
But actually, that is.
That's typical. That's all. It's all over. Down. Anywhere with density, like down in Mass. That's going to be typical. Let me say.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I understand the
No,
point about
I'm
the slope,
going your way now with pedestrian safety.
but
I think that's more important.
yeah,
So we're keeping the second sentence? Appearance of sidewalk where it crosses driveway or alley should be maintained.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about this from an engineering perspective to speak to slope or
I would not make it a requirement, personally.
yeah.
I think it'll come down to the development and if you think about the sidewalk materials that we have in town, we have asphalt and a little bit of concrete. But in other areas, outside of downtown, it's just asphalt. We're not likely gonna have bricked or cobbled sidewalks. It's gonna be asphalt, and where it crosses a gravel driveway, it's asphalt, then maintains the sidewalk. Doesn't follow the same slope. It actually has the tip down and then comes back up, but I don't think that's necessarily gonna be applicable for the visual differential that the sidewalk crosses the driveway.
So if it's the same material, then it would have to be demarcated with lines.
And that's not then you're gonna go paint everybody's driveway crossing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just thinking. The objective here is to avoid a sidewalk that's interrupted every 50 feet by dips, and it's for a chair user, that's a horrible sidewalk, and then it's not a sidewalk, it's just connection between driveways. and so I don't know. I mean, I guess if you don't want there to be a dip, then the driveway would have to be constructed in such a way to avoid that dip. And and I mean, is the slope necessary at that point? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe it should only
Whether
be
that's
with
possible, but-
concrete. We could just say like with concrete sidewalks. So that then it wouldn't apply.
There's a visual.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the point there too, but if you have a subdivision with a bunch of driveways and it just dips down all the time, is it really a sidewalk anymore? I mean, we have that there are lots of those examples in town. It doesn't make for an enjoyable walk.
Right. Even if it's the same material, it should still be up at that level.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think it should be at that level, and also it facilitates cleaning the sidewalk, of snow, for example, when you don't
Yeah.
have to go up and down all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll just put as a
Maybe we'll postpone that
TBD.
one.
Yeah. Stew on it.
Because, I mean, you can, there's good arguments for both sides, so some kind of compromise would probably be helpful. Some way to, I mean, I'm thinking if you have a sidewalk installed on an existing road with existing driveways, that's one kind of scenario. But if you're engineering the whole thing from scratch, driveways and sidewalk at the same time, why should this become an issue from a slope perspective,
It shouldn't.
right?
Well,
If the
you've got,
topography is challenging though, and you have a bunch of steep driveways, then it could be. But yeah, if it's new and you can construct the driveways so that they're
Right.
extensions
Well,
of the
it's
sidewalk.
challenging, if you've got granite curbing, your sidewalk elevation is going to be 6 inches above
Mhm.
the road.
Right.
As a car comes in their driveway, they have to transition that somehow. It's really a balancing of all needs, and typically you don't want water coming from a private driveway onto the roadway. You want them to
Yes.
pitch away from
Yeah.
the roadway. So there's a lot of challenges with drainage and icing.
Want
Yeah.
to pitch away anyways because it's going down into their lot.
Yeah,
It's
you want to
almost
pitch
like a
away
s-
from the road
It's
whenever
almost a
heavenly
speed
possible.
table going into the driveway.
What's that?
But it's in
Right.
conflict. The sidewalk
It's up
pitches
here.
towards the road. A driveway pitches away,
Yeah.
and they come here.
So now you have
So
to
that's
deal
why
with some
you-
sort of transition
You
there.
have
Can't
tip
have
downs at the
a
curb.
90-degree angle of the sidewalk if it's granite curbing. Does it really pitch away?
No. But the surface of the sidewalk can't be flat, so the water stays on it. It pitches towards the road, so that the runoff goes into the road
Gotcha.
gutter,
Yeah, I got you now. Yeah.
and the driveway goes the other way.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be bridges.
Bridges over all the driveways.
Interestingly, somewhat related
Gotta
is
keep the structural
Manchester and
engineers.
Elm Street.
Put a verge there. Vegetation strip.
Manchester and Elm Street was requiring new developments to put
Tunnels.
sidewalk ice melting, radiant tubing and snow melt in their sidewalks, which is actually great because now you're not throwing salt down, having people track salt into your commercial buildings,
Mhm.
right and left, because the city never comes around quick enough. And people complain about plowing here. Manchester doesn't really plow half the sidewalks. It's on you. You got to do it yourself. It's we get pretty good services here.
Good job, DPW.
My daughter was just here from Philadelphia. She couldn't believe it.
But yeah, it
She was
is.
She saw the snowplow on the sidewalk, and she was just like, "Okay, full stop. What's going on here?"
What is this contraption?
You just go to Portsmouth and the snowbank sometimes are 6 feet between the car and the sidewalk. It's,
Alright, so I'm gonna mark number 6 as a discussion item for next one.
Yep.
Great. Crosswalks, number 1. Mark crosswalk shall, mark crosswalks are preferred at all intersections and are required at high priority pedestrian street crossing locations, such as at school crossings or where other significant pedestrian desire lines cross streets, including mid-blocks.
Well,
Define what a mid-block
I'm
is.
not sure I'm following that all.
So basically, you're mark crosswalks are preferred at all intersections. So we'd like you to have that at all times, and required at high priority streets. So we're pedestrian. So basically, when there is a lot of pedestrian activity, we're definitely doing it. If there isn't, we prefer if you would. So basically, your high pedestrian intersections, you put in marked crosswalks.
So let's say you have a crossweave crossing a street,
Marking it.
right?
Yeah.
That would be it would be required there because that's a pedestrian street crossing. Is that what this is referring to?
Depends what the street is, right? You're intersecting with. So if it's a, I don't know, street. Is there a sidewalk? Is there a sidewalk across the street? Because you're not cross weaving
No, no.
into an intersection.
No, if you have a crossweave through a block,
Yeah.
that crossweave could be intersected by a street, a vehicular travel lane.
Right. So I guess it depends what's on the other side.
Well, it goes across.
Yeah, I know, but your block, you have your block, you're cutting across in between. What's on the other side? Like, is it just woods or like a road and woods?
No,
or,
what I mean is you have a crossweave going through this block,
Yeah.
and you also have that same block
Oh, okay.
perpendicular
Yes.
to it. But then
Yeah, that
that's-
makes sense.
That's when it's required,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to understand what that
No,
that really.
that totally makes sense.
Okay.
All right. Shared
Including
space
mid-blocks,
number 2.
yeah.
Shared spaces must be treated as marked crosswalks, requiring vehicles to yield to pedestrians.
I don't know what shared spaces are.
I don't understand that either. Shared spaces. Oh, shared where the street is doesn't have a sidewalk, and the travel lane is shared among uses, as in a lane, for example. That entire lane is treated as if it were a crosswalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's not clear to me.
But
I
then
don't
it's
feel
requiring,
clear to anybody.
and requiring vehicles to yield to
You're
pedestrians.
saying pedestrians in the walking in the travel lane?
No, so you have a natural lane crossing a neighborhood street. The neighborhood street has vehicular traffic
Okay.
on it with priority. And the neighborhood lane will, crossing that street would be treated as if it were a crosswalk.
Yeah. You see that up in Dover.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that that I understand the necessity for it.
Yeah, I think that might be just a scratch, because the other thing about crosswalk design is nobody can figure it out. You know, it's always evolved. See, you put one in and you decide that it's not great there, and you move it down the road 50 feet. And, you know, they always seem to evolve. People are moving crosswalks all the time.
So I'm going to say, for the sake of time, could we pause here and everyone review for next month?
Sounds good.
Yes.
I think we got through a lot of it. Unless there's one section that you're really itching to talk about, then we can go there. But I just think, you know, it might be more productive.
Yep, I'm good
Yeah.
with that. I think that makes sense.
I think everyone. I think the discussion was great, and we're all kind of merged on the same path. The same. It seems like.
Yeah, I think it's a shared path.
Yeah.
So,
Sure,
I'm
Wade.
good with calling it. I think it's a good call. But I did want to throw out, it's a new year, 2026. We talked about having some goals that are quantifiable, that are
Yeah,
publicly visible.
yeah.
And I threw this out as just an idea of what some goals could be. I think we really should have some goals that the public can see. We've been in the committee for about 2 years, and I don't know as if there's anything the public can see that we've done.
Thanks.
We've talked about a lot about policy and procedure, but we haven't accomplished anything tangible. And I think that's something I think we should be trying to do. If we want to change pedestrian safety or bicycle safety or convenience, we
I
gotta
mean-
make real changes.
Yeah, I agree with you that we should have goals, and I think we did agree that that makes sense. I do think we are accomplishing tangible things. I mean, I think this in front of us is quite tangible.
It's not tangible until somebody builds it. It's
Well, but yeah.
Yeah.
But it is something that is available now, or will be
Yeah.
available now.
it's important, but it's
Yes.
not. You know,
So, are you suggesting that we review this now, or
Not,
should we?
no,
Okay,
take it home, think about it.
Good, okay, yeah.
This is just, the concept was to have short-term, long-term.
Yeah.
Short-terms are things that is just a quick policy change or very short money. We can do it with the budget we have. It could be just a policy change with ticketing or something that requires any real money would end up being pushed into the long-term goals, which might, like we changed too, it could be long-term is 5 years, it could be 4 years, whatever. But this is, the concept is to have quick and easies, and these ones that might take engineering, might take budget. This is a lofty goal to have parking on Spring Street. That's a
Yeah.
lofty goal,
Yeah.
but it might cost money. Maybe it won't, I don't know, but I would love to actually try and do things that the public can see.
Sure.
Because, you know, our parking study, this will be, I think, the third or fourth parking study this town's done in 20 years, and not a whole bunch of things happen from those.
Oh, no, I totally agree. I think that is something that we're going to do something with this one.
Yeah.
It's no use in having them done and then reviewing them and then nothing
I don't even know
changes.
if we can find the old ones.
So, is everybody good with the idea of having this homework for next time? Continuing to review these, review the proposed goals that Mike just distributed that we can add to, whatever, edit. We'll have that conversation, and we'll also, I don't know, in the interest of time though, the request for proposals for branding and wayfinding.
Yes.
Is that, what is your,
My ideal is, ideally I want to discuss it tonight, but we don't have time. So alternatively, if you all wouldn't mind reviewing it and just send me comments individually, and then we can just incorporate and get this out.
Yeah, let's do it. Because that's something else that just, you know, we need to get the signs up.
yes,
So,
Okay.
so just kind of a timeline within the next week. Just send me comments.
so, what's the date? Let's make it concrete so that it's,
Well, it goes out February 18th, I think, to bid, right?
Well, that was
That's when the responses are due.
Responses due.
Oh,
I can change that. So it was just that
and I don't even know what kind of companies really do this.
I do.
You do?
I've been researching.
Okay.
I know. I probably know which one's gonna.
Yeah.
How about 24th,
okay,
please? Thank you.
absolutely. Okay.
Meanwhile, we'll incorporate. So what I can do is look at
Edit
edits,
that.
the edits, and send it out. Then you work off the edited.
Okay,
And then so we don't have to do the same edits.
excellent. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.